Hi everybody, this is Jonathan coming to you from the Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio. So right now I am in the Axis and Allies area. Do a quick pan here. There's a 1942 tournament going on. We've got one group there, one group there. Those two guys are setting up global. I know that there is a tournament match today. I'm not sure if that's what they're setting up for or something else. And then we've got another group playing 1942 over there right now. The first round of 1942 was last night. I played in that, played as the Axis using the new tournament rules, which, as you know, I was a little bit wary of, but I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. I got out to a very strong start, even as the Axis. Pushed to the gates of Moscow, kind of played chicken with the Russians, who had their own fighter force, tons of British fighters, American fighters, was never quite strong enough to take it, but continued to threaten it. In the meantime, Japan had swept in here pretty much all the way, just didn't get India. In this tournament, Hawaii is considered a victory city, and so what ended up happening is finally my force was getting pushed back. And the last round of the game, because we were running up on our time limit, Japan went all out against India in a close battle and did not win. The U.S. attacked all out on France. The Allies did a kill Germany first strategy. They went all out on France, did manage to take it. So while I was ahead most of the game with victory cities, right towards the end it flipped on me. So they went ahead, and so they did end up winning. It was kind of interesting because all of the other games had already finished. One side had conceded, and so everybody was crowding around our table to see how it was going to go. So it was a little bit disappointing, not to win, but at the same time, it was a very good match, very solid, and so I can't really complain. It was an excellent experience. All right, so skipping to Anniversary Edition, which is what I have here in front of me. Haven't played a lot of that. That was the version that I've been least confident in because I don't own a copy. And so the first day I played, and I knew that it was a bad sign when I got paired against a team of two gentlemen that had their own, brought their own custom, I guess you could call it a custom board with them. The border territories were a little bit clearer, I think, than the regular board, and it was made out of material that could be rolled up, and it was a little bit bigger than the actual board game. So it wasn't like anything extra special in terms of like territories connected differently. It was still that board, but I knew it was a bad sign when I was paired up against people who brought their own anniversary board. So I feel like I put up a decent fight in that game, but I did not win. And so then yesterday, it's a double elimination tournament, and so or something similar to it anyway. I'm not sure exactly how the bracket system works. I just know that I wasn't out after the first round. So I played it yesterday, played as the Axis rather than the Allies in that game, and won. And so I'm going to be playing the championship round tomorrow. The team that beat me suffered a loss against the other team that's in the championship round. So I'm not sure. That's why I say I'm not sure if it's double elimination, because I think they only lost once, but they're not going to play the same team a second time. So I'm not sure on the specifics, but I know that I will be playing in that match because I lost my first and then won my second. And let's see, and 1914 has not started. Unfortunately, that seems to be the least popular version around here, which is kind of sad for me, but that's okay. There was a possible tournament match yesterday, but it wasn't necessary. So there will be one round. The tournament will be one game, and that'll be this afternoon. It does look like, I know at least 3 people are going to be playing that, but I've heard 2 more that might be maybes, so I might be on a team with somebody. We'll just see. A couple other comments that I have about my experience in this tournament. I've learned a lot about my own flaws when it comes to these games, because when I play with friends, we play maybe once every couple of months, and then it might be a different version each time. But here, it's been, rapid fire. I've played 2 anniversary games, one 1942, I'm going to play 1914 this afternoon, and another anniversary edition probably tomorrow. And I've found that once I usually get off to a strong start. I haven't had, I don't think, any games, even the very first one that I lost, an anniversary edition, I've not had any games that I've gotten off to a poor start. Always gotten off to a very strong start. But then, and this was especially the case in 1942 yesterday, where I was just rolling. I was doing awesome. I start to do 2 things, and I think they're associated. I start to take unnecessary risks. For example, I was over here as Japan, and Japan was like kicking butt over here, just not with India, but everywhere else. And I happened to have a transport within striking distance of, was it West Canada or Alaska no, I had him up here, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting, what if I freaked out the Americans by coming over here? And I landed in, I played around in Alaska and Western Canada. I had Mexico at one point with the thought that, or the hope that would get the Allied player a little bit flustered. He was doing a kill Germany first strategy, and so I thought, if I can get him to pull some guys back and fluster him, that's less going after Germany. Germany is on the borders of Moscow. I just need to hold off the U.S. or slow them down a little bit, and we'll be good. They did have to build a little bit over here, but it did not fluster them. It only pulled minimal resources away, and in retrospect, having my transports over here rather than, down here, especially towards the end, though at the time I wasn't thinking that it would all hinge on India, but in retrospect, it would have been better to have them down here. And going along with that, when I get off to a very strong start, I have a tendency to underestimate my opponents. And so I will be looking for little annoying things like this I was talking about over here. Wouldn't it be great if I took Western United States? Or, I bet I can fluster them, that sort of thing. But by doing that, I pull, even if it's minimal resources, away from where they need to be. And if it doesn't succeed in flustering my opponent, then I'm actually slightly worse off for it, I think. And so that's something that I'm going to work on. So that's something that I've learned from this tournament. It's an important lesson. I also, because I'm so used to playing Classic, well, I learned on Classic, and then so used to playing Revised in college, I normally went with a kill Germany first strategy, and that tended to work pretty well. And I think that in regular play, it's still more effective than in tournament play, and I say that because tournament play, unless a side concedes because you took Moscow early or something like that, you're going to go to the time buzzer, and it's going to be based on who has the most victory cities. And look over here in Anniversary Edition, we've got Hawaii is a victory city, Manila, the Philippines, is a victory city, Hong Kong is a victory city, Shanghai is a victory city. And so while in other instances I've not focused on going after Japan first, I think that it does make sense to do that here because there are so many victory cities on the table. And then you've got Calcutta here, so if that falls, then that's one more for the Axis. But if the U.S. is over here in force, it could potentially swing down and get that. So you can secure 1, 2, 3, 4 victory cities, possibly Japan, just depending on what goes on. So I think that that's also something that I'm going to revise going forward. So that's what's going on here at Origins. I have spent some time not playing Axis and Allies with all those games I mentioned. It might seem like I've spent all my time here, but they do have a hall with a bunch of new games. Not Axis and Allies, there's games of all sorts. You can walk around, you can demo. If you like them, you can buy them. If not, you just move on. And so I bought a couple games there, more party type games that don't take hours and hours to play. Got to have something for those days when my friends and I can get together, but we don't have all afternoon to play Axis and Allies. So there's that, and that is my story about Origin so far. I will be posting another video. I don't know if it's going to be when I'm here. I might wait till I get home to do that, where I talk about 1914, what went right, what went wrong, and then the results of my Anniversary Edition game that will be tomorrow. All right, this is Jonathan signing off.